everybody, and welcome back to Coach Quip. I'm Coach Chris.
I'm Coach Robyn, and today we're talking about running shoes.
Again! One of my favorite topics!
Yeah, we've done a lot recently, but this is one that comes up all the time. How long do they last?
This one's really important right now as folks are in their season, right? Like
they're truly either in or they're about to be training, yeah.
Exactly. So running shoes, super important. By now, you are hopefully adapted to building mileage and handling the load of your training plan so far. But we know that shoes are probably starting to show a little bit of wear, or they will be at some point during this training cycle. So you should be thinking of this now so that you don't suffer injuries or any of the downsides of having busted shoes, which I don't think people really think about.
This happens a lot. People come into a new season and they're like, oh yeah, I got shoes, right? And then they're wearing them, and then all of a sudden they realize that they are not as fresh as what they thought they were. Mm-hmm. When we're running, always bear in mind, this is a single leg jumping exercise, almost like a jump and a squat together. We land with anywhere from 2 to 3.3 times our body weight on one leg, right? So, I mean, that is thousands and thousands and thousands of jumps on one leg. That is, you really want to make sure your shoe is doing what it needs to do as you are propelling your body forward in such an amazing propulsive way.
This is the first question that I ask my athletes with lower leg injuries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shin splints, how old are your shoes, right?
Yep.
You have calf pain, knee pain, ankle pain. The shoes are the first thing that I ask.
Yep, and it is, I think people shy away from buying new shoes. Maybe they just get lazy and don't think about it. I'm going to tell you my own story about that in a second. But a lot of times we hear shoes are expensive, and they are, we get it. But you know what's really expensive? Dealing with an injury, right? and this is one of the best ways that you can avoid is just making sure that you are not overusing your shoes or identifying the signs of when they are worn to. So I get really into shoes that feel good, right? I have a bone-on-bone portion of my foot, so when a shoe feels good, I use it, and I use it repeatedly on runs. Not every single run, but I probably use it for at least 50% of runs. So I love the Nike Zagama. It's a trail shoe. I love this shoe. I've had 3 different versions of this shoe. This is my only time I've had a purple version of it. I love all the colorways. I love this shoe. I ended up running in the shoe in the spring, and I was coaching, 6 to 9 mile long runs. And to your point, exactly like this, I started having low leg pain, and I'm like, wow, what is going on? This is not normal for me. My foot feels fine because my broke ass foot loves this shoe, right? But my low legs are really starting to feel it. I then do not track my mileage of my shoes in Training Peaks. I track my mileage, but I don't assign a shoe, which you should be doing. And I proceeded to be I wonder when I bought these. And I went on my Nike.com, and it had been 15 months. And I ran the math based on my running mileage, and I easily had 1,200 miles on these shoes, if I'm being conservative. And then I started actually looking at the shoe, and sure enough, the tread, it's a luggier shoe, so the tread actually looked okay, but the top is literally coming apart. And I was like, Robyn, what are you, just because the shoe is comfortable upon putting it on does not mean that it's still valid. They have been recycled. But this is a good thing. If I am messing it up, chances are you might be too.
Yeah, this is do as we say, not as we've done.
Yeah, but I think I was surprised just because I loved the shoe so much and how good it felt. I was surprised at how much I had overused it. It was just my go-to.
Yeah, so 1,200 miles, 1,500 miles, way too many miles on the shoe. So let's talk about when to rotate your shoes. When have your shoes hit their expiration date? The generally accepted rule of thumb for running shoes is somewhere around 300 to 500 miles. And I think it depends on the type of runner that you are, the type of shoe that it is, how you're using the shoe and how often you're using the shoe, and probably the conditions that you're running into. And
we should say, too, that this is for non-plated shoes, right? A plated shoe, you're going to cut all this in half. But for a non-plated, truly everyday running shoe, you're looking at that 300 to 500 miles. So not 1,200 miles.
Yeah.
I will tell you, though, The end of that story is that I got the new Vomero 18 because I was like, well, I'm just gonna. I love the Zagama. I got another one of those too. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. But I put on the Vomero 18, and actually Patty, our GM, and another one of our coaches said, because she had gotten them, she's like, wow, I'm really fast. I'm like, wow, the Vomero is not supposed to be a speed shoe, but like. She was just saying how comfortable it is and a wide footbed, and I was like, okay, so I got a pair, mm-hmm. and I am now so much faster in the shoe that is not a speed shoe just because it's not broken down. So not only do I feel better and my low legs don't hurt and I'm not running in a broke-ass shoe, I'm actually hitting a pace that I haven't seen in a while with a way lower heart rate. So another reason you could replace your dead-ass shoes.
Yeah. Okay, some telltale signs that you are ready for a new pair of shoes. And let's put a little asterisk on this. So you should be tracking your mileage of your shoes because they won't always look like they're ready to go.
True.
But there are a couple of signs that the wear is too much. So the first would be when the outer rubber is worn on the sole and is exposing the actual cushioning. So if you have blown through the lugs or the bottom part of your shoe and you have made your way to the cushioning below it, it's time for a new pair of shoes.
The next one, and I actually just had a runner go through this, and it was unfortunate because she was hitting her peak mm-hmm. and ran, I think, her longest long run, or maybe it was her second to longest long run in a pair mm-hmm. of shoes that was packed out. We call it packed out, right? So what that means is if you set your shoe on a flat surface and it kind of leans a little differently than it used to, you are probably past your prime in that shoe. She didn't realize it until she was running and had her calf kind of seize up and then quickly looked at it after and was like, oh yeah. You can also see sometimes the cushioning ripple, right? Again, when you're in it is one thing, but if you're seeing it when it's just on its own on a flat surface, like, it's time.
Mm-hmm. If your shoe can be folded in half, like toe to heel.
And it's not a racing flat.
And it's not a racing flat, then it's probably time for a new pair of shoes.
And this last one seems fitting. Any holes or tears in the upper? I didn't notice them until I actually looked because I'm lazy and I just slip my shoes on. But when that is happening, the shoe is not supporting you as it should be, right? So like aesthetically, it looks junky, right? But it's also structurally not as sound.
Yeah, and I'd even say sometimes you can tell if your shoe doesn't feel like it has the pop that it once had. Like if your shoe feels dead, it is dead.
I thought I was just running slower. I was like, well, I guess I'm slower now.
Right.
Turns out you just need a new shoe.
Right. It's not because we're getting old. It's really you just need a pair of shoes.
I was a little bummed, but now I'm great. And we've said this before, but we're going to say it again. But apps like Training Peaks and Strava, they offer features that track the mileage of shoes. It's really easy. It's on drop downs. I know for my athletes that race trail, if they're training on trail, and this is how I use those Agamas until they were dead beyond dead, your shoe doesn't wear the same way. So you don't, and you're tackling sometimes very long mileage on trails. So I have them create you can go into, especially Training Peaks, and put in your shoe models, and they just do a drop down. So when they log their workout, they just go in and log it, and then they do their drop down, and then we have a tally. And then we also realize pretty quickly which shoe they're gravitating toward when it goes to race day.
It's super smart, and it takes the guesswork out. For folks who aren't tracking it, then we have to go by when did we buy the shoe? How much am I walking around? How much am I walking around in it versus actually running in it? And am I using it day after day after day? Because you had mentioned the packing out, right? But also the foam doesn't bounce back.
Yeah, this is a huge one.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is huge. Your foam, most foam takes a full 24 hours to decompress after you've run in it. That is regardless of your size, how you strike, what type of run you did. So if you used a shoe on Friday morning before work and you try to use that exact same shoe on a long run at 6 a.m. and it hasn't been 24 hours, it is not going to be doing what you need it to do, right? And we need to keep that in mind and rotate through our shoes. People... I agree, shoes are expensive. However, having multiple pairs, it is more out of pocket initially, but your shoes will last longer. You will become a more economical runner, and hopefully you will also avoid injury. You might even be faster, right? Because you're going to figure out what shoe you're gravitating toward when you need, speed and efficiency.
I love that too, because if you have 2 or 3 pairs that you're cycling through, you can you have like the time to wait until your favorite pair goes on sale, right?
Yes,
to grab
that is
those
true.
extra ones.
That's totally true.
Which is great. And you had mentioned, then if we're using a shoe Thursday night, we don't want to use it again Friday morning. So we do want you to have multiple pairs of shoes. It's really great though to not just have, you can have two of the same model if you really find that one that fits your wide foot bed or what have you. But if you're doing different types of workouts, you can have a speed shoe. You can have something that's for longer distances. You can have something that you're using for tempos or just your regular runs. And that provides different input to your feet and your body to kind of keep you on your toes, right? I think in a lot of ways it can help you sort of avoid plateau.
Yep.
Because you have different inputs, and it just helps your body adapt even further.
All right, 2 more things. How to integrate new shoes, and then I'm adding one of what to do with your old shoes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so integrating your new shoes. We get this question a lot if you're like me, and you get scared sometimes to try either a new model or a new shoe if something's really been working for you. But there's a lot of strategy here. First up, don't go cold turkey, please. Do not just go out, especially on a long run, and just use a brand new shoe for the whole thing, especially if it's a new shoe and a new model and or a new brand. Like, easy there, killer. We love to break things in slowly and gradually over 2 to 3 weeks, maybe using them if it's a general shoe like a Vomera, using it for a recovery run first, and then you could try it on something like a tempo or a portion of your long run. My personal preference is, if you're wearing a new shoe, is to use it for the first part of a long run. So let's say you have a 20-mile run and you're like, I don't know, I'm going to try this shoe. And we're doing 3 7-ish mile loops. Use it for the first loop when your foot is more fresh, and then go back to the shoe that you are more comfortable with for the back end and see how your body responds.
Yeah, on that note, let's talk about timing. So,
yes.
Oftentimes we have this marathon training cycle as an example. So 16 to 20 weeks of a marathon training cycle. You get up to that 20-miler about 3 or 4 weeks out from race day, right? And it's around that time often that people are like, or the coach is like, hey, what are you thinking about for shoes, right? At that point, you put in lots of miles in your training cycle. So you might be in the market for a new pair of shoes for race day. How early do you tell your athletes to start to break in those shoes, when a lot of times people don't think about it until we're in taper?
I think it depends if it's a plated or a non-plated shoe. It's a plated shoe that's going to pack out 150 miles. They break in faster too, right? Mm-hmm. That's really the upside. So if it's something that they've been using and they're comfortable with, I definitely want them to do their peak long run and maybe their second to their last long run in it. And honestly, 35 miles, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
You?
Yeah, same. I want people to have that shoe before their longest long run, usually. And not that they have to necessarily wear it for the full duration of the longest long run, but I want, like, in terms of timing, that we have a month to slowly break them in and feel good.
But if you're thinking about a whole new shoe and a whole new brand, you're going to need to back that up to before the last, build and cut for sure. Mm-hmm. And then what to do with your old Zagamas, Robyn. Here's what not to do: wear them to strength class.
Yeah, I was just going to say. Thank you.
Please do not wear your broke down shoes to strength class. If they're not good enough for you to run in, you sure as hell should not be lifting weights in them. We would much rather you be either in a strength specific shoe or barefoot. Mm-hmm. Yay, that's free 99. You got this. Mm-hmm. So that's what's not to do. We also don't want to use them for walking around, because to your point, like, you're still supporting your body weight. It's still, my Zagamas still are not with my upper being all torn up because I've just worn them to death. It's not doing what it needs to do from a walking around standpoint either. What you can do is recycle them, right? So we have recycling here at Edge up in front. I think we've donated, I don't even know, hundreds at this point. I mean, I just took over 2 more bags. It's ongoing. There's no end to it. So as long as we're here, you can always fill up the box at the front. We just ask for you not demolished. Honestly, the Zagamas are probably better suited for recycling because they're a little tore up. But you always want to bring them in as clean as possible state, not caked in mud, and then tie the laces together and pop them in, and we will get them to be able to be repurposed.
I might have donated 100 shoes to that.
I mean, people bring in bags, and I'm here for it. It's a great service.
Yeah. Either that or they become the garden shoes. Like, you're going to go tromp in the mud.
Yeah, go for it.
That's fine, but not your everyday shoes. Well, I guess this is a reason to maybe do a little bit of shopping.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
We're ready. Tell us what you buy. Next time.
Thanks for listening to Coach Quip, original music performed by Mend. Follow us online on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Edge Athlete Lounge. Our podcast lives in the blog section of our website. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and you can check out the show notes for additional ways to contact us. Ready, set, onward we go.